Welcome, ladies, to the Real Estate Investor Show, providing inspiration, strategies, and insight to empower women investors to live balanced and financially free lives. Now, here are your co-hosts, Liz and Andressa.
So in today's episode, ladies, we have two other amazing contributors to our book, The Only Women in the Room, Anna Kelly and Kathy Fettke. These are two just top-notch women investors in our world of investing, and two women that a lot of women look up to. What I think you'll appreciate a lot from these two women who've quite honestly created a lot of financial freedom for themselves. And they talk a lot about overcoming adversity. And both of these women, they talk about it in their chapters. They talk about it obviously during the interview, but overcoming adversity and how that doesn't happen just once in your life. You have to continually overcome adversity. The other piece that I think was really, very powerful was talking about overcoming adversity and then leaning into your future self, right? Envisioning your future self. And then there's all these things in between adversity and your future self. And we get into specific tools that you can actually apply in your own life today to get you to where you want to go.
And I'm just going to share one tiny one so you can see how powerful this episode is, but I'm not going to share it all, right? So one exercise that was shared by Anna Kelly is that when you are facing a challenge, take a break and list all the accomplishments that you have achieved so far. And in front of those accomplishments, you're going to write what are the skills that you use in order to be able to overcome it, because that is what it's going to take for you to really overcome your current situation and really face the future, move forward towards your future. So this is an exercise that we dig a little bit down, and both Anna and Kathy shared so much. We're so appreciative of their contribution to the book and to this episode. So this is a must listen or must watch for all of you guys that are stuck in a mindset that want to move forward and you don't know how. This is it. This is your signal. If you were asking for one, this is it. So enjoy this episode.
We're so excited, ladies, to be offering our first ever Investor Week Challenge coming up starting October the 19th on a Monday. And this is going to focus on our three pillars: real estate investing, business operations, and self-care.
Yes, and whether if you're just getting started or if you want to take your business to the next level, we have prepared this free challenge that starts on Monday that will help you to achieve your goals faster with more grace.
We are so excited about these 4 live sessions. Andressa or myself will be teaching these 4. 2 of them, you'll get both of us, and 2 of them will be us individually. So Andressa's going to be talking about something that's near and dear to her heart: how to create and sustain standard operating procedures, SOPs, in your business, no matter what size you are at. I'll be talking about something that's near and dear to me: raising private money. Not just raising money, but doing with confidence and going to the network that you know best, people closest to you. So we'll be speaking about those 2. The 2 that we'll be doing together is, the first one we'll be doing is what's holding you back. And you'll be getting really clear, not just superficial stuff, but really clear on what is holding you back to getting to that next level. And then the 4th session we're going to wrap up is, how do you put yourself first? Really first, and do that in a way that has grace and has a kind of, really has that deep sense of appreciation for yourself. So those are the 4 live sessions you'll be getting during the week. And each session, what's really cool about this, each training session will give you a challenge. Because obviously this is a challenge week, right? This is not a live webinar training sessions. This is a challenge week. So we're going to be giving you a challenge. And it's going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to have something to do after every single one of these live sessions. I think that's what we're most excited about.
Exactly. So go to therealestateinvestor.com/investor week challenge and sign up. As I said, it's a free challenge that we are offering to all our community that starts on October 19th. And the last day, on October 25th, we have a special surprise just for you guys that are participating, and you cannot miss this. So go there, sign up today, and we'll see you there.
Welcome back, ladies. This is Liz.
And this is Andressa.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Investor Show, where we are on a very big mission to support women living a financially free and balanced life. We are so excited to have these two amazing, amazing women on our show today, Anna Kelly and Kathy Fettke. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being back on the show.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here
with you, ladies.
Yeah, these two amazing women are contributors, or they're amazing women in a lot of areas of their lives and a lot of their business ventures. But what really makes this episode unique is that they both are contributors in our book, The Only Women in the Room. So we'll be jumping in to their stories and some themes that kind of actually they have a lot of alignment around and kind of break through some of, barriers and what have you, just really, really amazing stuff. So we'll get into their stories here in a moment. As we always like to do, we thank you so much for being on, being with us and, sharing with us and really just being a listener, and just not just a listener, but like feeling what we're feeling, going through what we're going through, right? Whatever that word is.
Crying with us, cursing with us.
We appreciate you because we could feel you, and we really appreciate your presence and spending time with us. So as we always like to do, Andressa, we like to just jump in and share a quick tip or something that's coming up for us.
What's coming up?
So before we started recording, Kathy and I were talking about having little ones, and it was just, so on that vein. So I have a 3-year-old, and yesterday I've been really trying to help my older son read, because obviously he's moving into the virtual learning, and I don't know if he's really going to get that necessarily. He will, but so I said, let's start this summer. So I've been working with him on reading. We were outside. I was indoors all day on my computer. I'm like, let's go outside and do some reading. So my daughter stays inside. And that usually is okay because I have a lot of windows in our sunroom, so I can see her. So I'm keeping an eye on her and helping my son. And then all of a sudden she comes outside. She's like, Mommy, I have something in my nose. I'm like, that's weird. So she shoved a bead up her nose, literally up her nose, like a big bead. And I'm like, oh my God, freaking out, like complete hysterical. She's like, it hurts. She starts crying. My son's like, is she going to die? I'm like, she's not going to die, but this is not good. And I just started going crazy. I was like, oh my God, I got to get this bead out. I know in the hindsight of things, it wasn't like the biggest deal, but I was really freaking out. I'm like, I don't want to go to a hospital. I don't want to go to like a doctor.
No.
So she's laying down.
You do.
So I called my neighbor. This is where my point of my story is going to come in. Call my neighbor. Matt's like, busy on call. It's not even answering my call. So I call my neighbor. She comes down. I'm like, do you have tweezers? But do you have plastic tweezers? Because the metal ones are going to hurt her nose. I mean, it was up there, up her nose. So she brings the tweezers. She's like, Liz, just have her like blow her nose a few more times. I did, but it didn't work. She's like, let's try it again. So I said, Sammy, blow the hardest that you'll ever have to blow. And she blew, and it popped out. So I tell you that because, I was freaking out, and all I needed was someone to come, calm me down, and show me another way. And I feel like that is such a good analogy for so much in our life, where we're so like focused on something, and then someone says something, we're like, that seems so simple, yet I need to do it because that's probably the right thing for me to do. So I just say that because I think we could apply that in all areas of our lives. So with various things. So just wanted to share that quick little story.
Well, if you had called me, I could have shared my experience with you, because when I was little, in Brazil, we eat a lot of like rice and beans, right? So there's a process of like separating the bad beans from the good one before cooking. And my mom was doing that. And I just thought it would be cool to shove not just one, but like a few of them up in my nose. I ended up being at the hospital because my mom was freaking out so much. She was not even listening to anybody, my dad, or she just like, she's going to die. Let's go. But I'm glad, Liz, you're like, Sammy's like 3, so little. And you're like, blow it the hardest.
Yeah, she knew that, and she did that.
Sometimes I also feel that we divide our energy in little tiny bit, and it loses the potential, right? So all the ladies that are listening in real estate, like, this is it. I'm going to invest in real estate, blow the bridge, blow it, and go. Instead of like holding into that plan B, C, D, and just like, right? So blow it. Think about Sammy. She blew the hardest. So blew the hardest.
Today's lesson.
Today's lesson, I tell you, it's a whirlwind, right? But thank you both for being on our show today. And, both of you have such a phenomenal story, and you're phenomenal people. So why don't we just take a few minutes before we jump in to the kind of the theme that ran through both of your chapters in this book, just to share a little bit about, what, again, we probably asked you this the first time you're on the show, but what, not only what propelled you to get involved in real estate investing, but instead, since you've been on the show before, what keeps you investing in real estate? Because both of you are very experienced ladies and have been in this business for quite some time. So if you both can share that, introduce yourself, share that, and then we'll jump into a little bit more about the book and your stories in the book. So why don't we start with you, Anna?
Sure. So, one of the things that really propelled me to being in real estate, and primarily I'm a multifamily investor. I invest in, multiple asset classes, but multifamilies, where I spend most of my time, really was because I had a baby. And when I had that baby, like all of my drive that I had, since my childhood, really to escape poverty and climb the corporate ladder and create the American dream, all of that kind of went out the window when I became a mother, because I was also a latchkey kid. And as much as it was important to me not to be in that cycle of poverty and to become an independent woman and be able to take care of myself, my mom wasn't home a lot when I was little. So she worked 2 jobs, and I'm like, I don't want my child being raised by somebody else. I've got to figure out how to do whatever it takes to replace my income so that I'm no longer going, in the corporate world and my baby being in daycare. So I started, out by watching HGTV while I was on maternity leave and flipping houses. And eventually I went into, house hacking and buying some small rentals, really with the whole plan to replace my 6-figure income, get home with my baby or babies as fast as I possibly could. And that was my drive. And so thankfully, I was able to do that and retire from my corporate career. It took me many years longer than I thought that it would to be able to do that through many ups and downs. But I was finally able to retire. And so now, I keep doing it because I want to build legacy wealth, and I really want to help other women and little girls like I was, in my apartment complex, to learn to become financially independent and no longer have to depend on a job, a spouse, my stock market portfolio, to be able to make sure that I'm okay, that my kids are going to be okay, that our needs are met, and that they don't have as difficult of a struggle as I did, growing up.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate you sharing that. How about you, Kathy?
I think I could sum it up. What keeps me investing is just addiction. I love it. It's like you go to you maybe don't need another sweater, but you find a really good deal on a sweater and you're just going to buy it. You don't even need it. It's kind of like that. And also trying new things. I just started Airbnb, and it's been unbelievable because, in March, people thought Airbnb was going down the tubes, and then it flipped around, just like real estate in general. Over the last few months, it flipped to being incredibly desirable because people are not necessarily flying, but they'll drive a few hours to go to an Airbnb. So that's a totally new thing. I am literally making beds and cleaning houses, and I love it. So it's just a whole new way of doing it. Also, I took a little break over the last few years because we were having a hard time doing syndications, trying to find anything that could pencil. And now we think that's going to shift. So we've hired an acquisitions manager, and we're going to be ready for any opportunity that comes along. Because when I started syndicating in 2009, there were deals everywhere. I mean, I had partners who came out of retirement, 10 years in retirement, to jump in and be a part of that. And I remember thinking, why? You don't have to. And one of my partners said, well, you can only play so much golf. So it's just, once you're a real estate investor, it's fun. It's really fun.
So Kathy, I'm just going to piggyback on that, right? Because you just said that you started your Airbnb and you're, boots on the ground, literally cleaning whatever it takes. You don't have to. right? You don't have to. But, I understand completely because I have Airbnbs and I love Airbnbs. Rather have Airbnbs for the communication perspective with guests is so totally different than with long-term renters.
Yeah.
But there is some, I don't know you, but there's a lot of peace of mind when like an instant gratification with Airbnb.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like that is addicted. So
it's so much fun.
I agree with you. Some people say you guys are nuts. I was like, well, try it and you're going to see it. But you don't need to. What I'm trying to say to the ladies that are listening is that you are a newbie in different areas in your life as you are expanding, pivoting, and you got to allow yourself to experience independently of your background, if you have raised money, if you haven't. So it's really refreshing to hear from you, Kathy, because you don't have to, but you are just trying. So my question is, why are you choosing that path?
It was just an opportunity where we could have ADUs in Los Angeles County. And so it's like I said, when you're an entrepreneur, you just want to try stuff. It's just, I'm a starter. I'm not a finisher. That's something I've learned about myself. I'm a visionary. So Real Wealth is really run by my husband now because they know how to put systems in place. And like I said, I try things. And so I have to constantly be trying new things. It's just my personality. And also it's a new thing where, like you said, I get to be friends with these tenants. I've never really gotten to know my long-term tenants because in a way you're not really supposed to. They're not supposed to know who you are. You've got to stay really anonymous. And with this, I left my book in the Airbnb just to see what would happen. And every single person has said, wow, on vacation, I read your book. It changed my life. And then I go and sit with them for an hour and we talk real estate. And to me, that's super fulfilling to know that on vacation, their life changed in my Airbnb.
Right? How cool.
Yeah.
I love that because I think part of real estate and being an entrepreneur and a businesswoman is you're always looking at what is the current economy giving me and where's their opportunity? And can I go do it, have fun, make a difference in people's lives and make a little money doing it? And every market kind of gives you a different niche that provides that opportunity. So it just kind of layers one thing on top of another. And if you're not having fun doing it, you're in the wrong niche. Like I love what I do every day. And that's part of why I keep doing it too, because I'd rather buy real estate that changes my life, my investors and my tenants' lives than any pair of shoes, any new car, anything else like that. Cause it's exciting. It's fun.
It is fun. And this is why I look like this. Cause I'm also taking care of my grandson because my daughter is starting her business and I don't know how you moms do it with these young kids at home all day. Really, I have the greatest respect for you because I'm an empty nester now. And so hopefully it's a wonderful experience. I imagine it's got its challenges too, but I was watching the baby this morning and I get to clean the Airbnb after this interview. So I didn't have time to get changed. So here I am. The COVID look.
I love it. Something that both of you kind of spoke to in both of your chapters were really amazing. We've had the luck and the joy of reading this book, obviously, and studying the book and looking for errors in the book and all that fun stuff that goes into making sure it's the toppest quality. And it's, reading both of your chapters, something that stood out was about overcoming adversity. And it's interesting because when you think about adversity can happen at any point in your life. It's not like the beginning of the stage or the beginning of the journey. It's like really can happen any time. And I know for me, even people said, what was the hardest thing that's happened to you in your business? And it was just a few years ago. It wasn't at the beginning. That stuff I chalk up to just being, clueless and young. But it's interesting because adversity can happen at any point. So tell us a little bit about, everyone has adversity in their life. And I feel like both of you kind of prove the point, right? It doesn't matter, right? It does not that it doesn't matter what people are going through. I don't mean it like that, because it does matter. And these are very difficult things that people would go through and can go through, both of you as well. But how did you both move through the adversities to propel you to financial freedom? Not just how, but what did you actually do to propel you through that? Because I think that's what, I think that's what all of us need to hear more of, right? Is not just the esoteric idea, but like, what did you do daily to move you through diverse adversities to get you on your path where you are now? So, Kathy, I'll start with you, if you don't mind sharing that.
Well, let me be wise words of someone who's been around a while. You will have adversity, and you'll probably have it a lot, and maybe all the time. It's part of life. And, even when people might look at me and think, oh my gosh, I can skate through life now. That's not the case. Life always has challenges. My mom I'll try to get through this sentence, but I just found out she has stage 4 cancer. So it's always there. And so how we live with adversity is really the question, because it doesn't ever go away, no matter how much money you have. We raise kids, maybe they have challenges in their lives and friends and so forth, or goodness knows our country, right? So we got plenty of adversity there. So the way I deal with it, and especially right now, these are really, really challenging times. We're in really challenging times energetically on this planet and on Earth. So much. Let's not even go there. But so for me, I have to wake up, and my husband helps me with this, looking for the positive, looking for what to be grateful for, not looking for who I can fight with, which is what seems to be the trend out there, but really starting with that place of gratefulness and what really matters. And what really matters is, we got to write that down and remember that. It's easy to forget it. Sometimes people will say their family matters most, but it comes last on the list when you really look at the time spent and the quality time spent on the things that matters most. So being super clear, write it down, the top 3 things most important in your life, and honor those. Because when I lost money, and I've had, maybe there was one point at Real Wealth where I had $200 in the bank account, and I came in and said, I'm sorry, I can't pay you, our employees today. And they're like, oh, it's okay. Maybe next month you'll be able to pay us. So I know what that's like. But I remember at those times when I was at bottom, I would just kind of look around and I'd go on my hiking trails, and it's like, well, this hiking trail is the same trail I hiked on when I had money. I could still hike it. It's free. Oh, this is the same husband I had before. These are the same kids. Nothing's really changed. So appreciate and love what you have, and look for the positive. Exercise. I can't express that enough. Get a hardcore workout in at least 3 or 4 times a week to get the stress out, and in nature ideally, because then we can recenter. And it's in those times that brilliant idea comes that changes everything for me.
Love that. I love that.
And lots of prayer.
Anna, how about you?
Awesome. Yeah, I think I can echo so much of what Kathy said. I think in life we have to look at the fact that, life is difficult, and there's always going to be seasons of difficulty. And what really separates whether you continue and you do well and you overcome those things is your mindset and your faith. You have to know, what is it that I want in life, and how is this challenge going to, maybe make it more difficult. But do I know what's really important to me, and am I willing to do whatever it takes to figure out how to deal with this hurdle so that I can move on and not lose sight of my vision and my ideal life and what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to create. So, I got stronger as I moved on in life, and as you mature and as you do deal with adversity, you have a little more confidence in faith. You have more confidence that I got through something really bad, and I have to trust myself and trust that I have what it takes to solve every problem that's within my control. I have what it takes to overcome, every challenge and every difficulty, even if I can't fix it. I have what it takes to keep going and to make next day better and the next day better, to get back on course for the life I'm trying to live. And I also have the faith that as difficult things work out, and I'm now have the benefit of hindsight, that I see, wow, every challenge that I've been through has really made me so much stronger. as a person and prepared me for the next thing that comes before. And so having faith that I can get through this, that God's going to work it all out for my best if I just do the best that I can. I really believe that. And so it makes it so much easier for me not to stay in the funk emotionally of what I'm dealing with and to go, okay, I can cry, I can grieve, I can mourn, I can be upset, but I'm quickly going to dust off the tears and take the next step and just move on with the faith and determination that I'm going to get through this. It's going to make me stronger. I'm not going to give up and give it any more of my time and emotional time to wallow in the mud, but I'm just going to keep going because my why matters to me so much that I'm not going to let anything derail that and pursuing that ideal life that I desire to create.
So Anna, I took a little part of your chapter, and here's what you say about belief. Believe that you have what it takes to solve every problem. Get the habit of asking yourself, how can I? Brainstorm multiple ways to solve every problem and keep brainstorming and testing solutions until you figure out the way forward. And I love that you keep brainstorming and figuring out a way forward. A lot of people that are listening to us, sometimes they're like, okay, how can I believe? Because I don't see the vision there yet. So what are the baby steps that I can take now in order for me, because I only see one way, and I'm trying to figure out on my own because of X, Y, and Z, and just see one way. And I wish, but do I truly believe? Probably not. So what would you say to those folks that are listening to us and think that way?
Sure. I think sometimes we think, oh, if I just had more money, I could fix this problem. Or if I just had a better network, I could fix this problem. Or, if. And what I had to start asking myself, when I told you I got into real estate, just a quick, high level, in 2003, I had my first baby and I thought I'll be home with him in a year. And we were just going to flip enough houses. It was going to happen. Well, the flips didn't go so well. We learned a lot of mistakes because we didn't know what we didn't know. My husband lost 2 jobs. Then we moved to PA and we started his business, height of the market. We thought entrepreneurship's the way. 2007, great. 2008, things started to crash. And I worked for AIG and it almost went under. Lost my retirement plan. And I couldn't get loans anymore. I thought I'm just going to keep now buying enough rentals. Since flipping doesn't work, my husband doesn't want to do it. We're going to do rentals instead. And then suddenly I couldn't get loans for properties because I worked for AIG. All the lenders knew it. And they're like, you can't get money. So I'm like, I don't have money. I can't get loans. I don't have a lot of skills, but I want to be home with my baby so badly. I'm just going to figure it out. And I started studying. I started, looking into seller financing and figuring out how I could buy properties off market instead. So I had to say to myself, I might not have money. Maybe I can find another way. In my brain and in my makeup, I have what it takes to get creative. I might not know the solution, but I have what it takes to go find another way and find another solution. And if I can't find the money, I can't find the people, I'm going to go educate myself on how are other people doing this, despite the fact that they don't have money, credit, etc. So the belief in myself became I can believe enough in my drive and my why and my ability to learn and figure things out, even if I can't believe that tomorrow I'm going to have the next $100,000 I need to buy that next property. So the belief is really believing in myself that if I want something bad enough, I have within me what it takes to figure out other ways and educate myself on other ways to accomplish it or to ask for help. And that was really hard too, because initially I felt like I have to do it all by myself.
Right.
My husband's doing something else. I don't know real estate investors. I just have to figure this out. And when I finally started saying, okay, I'm going to go to a real estate networking group. I really don't want to, but I'm going to. And I'm going to say, I have a problem. I need to figure out how to do this. You bring other people in your community, in your circle to support you, to help you see the other solution. Like Liz said, with the bean up in the nose, it's like when you're in it emotionally and you're in the funk, you can't see any other way than what you know, like that, because you're just too emotionally involved. So asking for help, asking for support, and believing that together you will find the right people or the right resources, the right knowledge that will help you to figure it out and keep going. And the more you do it, the more you have faith in your ability to keep doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Kathy, in your chapter too, you had talked a lot about various, situations that you went through. And, I loved your story, and I love what you said around the idea of just, how you kind of broke it apart and what your husband went through and all those sort of things. So share a little bit about, how do you manage it? How have you managed adversity, and just in terms of that part of it as well? I'd love to hear just, what would have been some of your mantras as well around that?
Yeah, well, that was 2003. And we had a few years before bought a really big house, probably too big, a $4,000 a month payment. Rich had just come out with his book called Extreme Success. We had 2 daughters. Everything was perfect. I was growing an organic garden. I still had my little, I had been in broadcasting, but I had my little radio show on the side that I did for fun. And I made it. And this is what so many people think they're going to achieve, is making it. And I was there, and life was perfect. And then Rich came home from his book tour. He had just been in New York. They were billing him as the new Tony Robbins, and it was like really exciting TV shows and stuff. And then he comes home and he's got tears in his eyes. And I'm like, what's wrong, honey? He said, I went to the doctor. They saw this freckle. It turns out it's melanoma. They did more tests. They think it's spread, metastasized. And the doctor said, I probably have 6 months to live. So it was just a complete and total, what? How can that be? I went into shock. I went into so much shock that I refused to believe it. And I think this is really important. And it has a lot to do with what Anna just said, at the beginning was, I refused. There was no way I was going to believe that. But Rich, being a motivational speaker, that's what his book was about. He didn't have the faith. He lost the faith. And he started going online. This is what people are doing right now with everything that's going on today in the economy. You're spending too much time online reading bad stuff instead of making life great. And so he was going online and reading about everybody who died from melanoma. How's that going to help him? And he started to believe it. And so I had a spiritual healer friend, and I just was like, honey, we just meet with him. And Rich was not into that, but he agreed to do it for me. And this guy, looks Rich in the eye and says, how much of you believe you're going to survive this? And Rich said, well, 90%. And the healer looks at him and says, and this he's like, well, that 10% doubt will kill you. Mm. And Rich is like, oh, I know that. I teach that. So he said in that moment, he shifted to 100%. I'm going to survive this. 100%, zero doubt. And he's alive and well today. Of course, he gets his melanoma checks every day, and they cut it out and they did the treatments. It is moving from even 99%. Any amount of doubt can take you down. It has to be 100% I am in. And when I started Real Wealth, that's where I was. I've described my life like a bird, like a human who feels like a bird, like I'm flying. And the minute I look down and go, oh, I'm flying, I shouldn't be flying, that's when I feel like I'm going to fall. So you just don't look down. You just got to keep going. And I'm in challenges right now. We have syndications that aren't going well. Real estate's hard. It's hard. The difference is I tell my investors, I'm like, this is a risk. We are doing, every risk is listed here. Are you in or are you not? We could lose money, but we could make money. And we go and we do it and we do our best, but you just do your best. But right now I'm trying to work out, and I will work out. And as I even just now, don't ever say try, I will work it out. This thing's going to work out better. Just not exactly how we expected, but better.
And I love that. Is it safe to say something about that?
Of course.
But I love that because I know for me, I had to get over that my dream had to look a certain way and the path to get there had to look a certain way. And when my path to get there really took 15 years instead of the year that I thought it was going to, that was hard. I had to make myself believe over and over and over for 15 years, I will get home with my babies. Well, by the time I did it, my kids are all in school. So that dream of stay-at-home mom looks completely different than what I envisioned. But the way it worked out was even better than what I envisioned for many, many reasons. And so that faith that I'm going to work this out and not let the how it has to work out be so specific in your mind that you continue to be disappointed that it didn't go that way. So, yeah.
I love that. And just to add to that, because I feel like I said to Matt the other day, we've been at this a long time, we've been investing for a long time. Shouldn't we be here instead of where we are? Wherever here is and wherever there is, right? It doesn't even matter. And I had that moment of, and I think that happens sometimes for me, and I think it happens for people, wherever people are, we just unfortunately compare ourselves, right, to the Facebook ideal. We compare ourselves to other people. Women compare themselves to other women. And I think we all have to kind of stop doing that. I guess I could speak personally, but obviously speak to the women that are listening. Is just, what do you 100% believe? Like really believe? I love that, Kathy, and also then to then say, okay, let me just stay focused on that. Let me not compare myself to anyone else for any other reason. And it's like, I constantly am like, well, if we did this, we should have that, right? It's like this, din, and it's not like that, right? It's like, it's your path. So the way out of that, I love that, is to actually focus on that belief, right? That strong belief, no matter what it looks like. And this is the path that we're on, right?
I love that so much. I just have to tell you something funny, that Rich, we finally had a business coach who also has to be a marriage coach because my business partner is my husband. And I, one of the things I kept doing is bringing up the past, because back in probably 2013, we sat down the company and I said, I want to do multifamily. And they're like, no, we're a single family company. And I'm like, well, but I want to, and they nixed it. And so I was comparing myself to others. I'm like, she did it. And you guys, you're all doing these multifamily. And I was mad and I was holding on that grudge to Rich. Like, why didn't you listen to me? If you just listen to me, we don't know as many apartments as they do and more, and Rich is like, yeah, but our single family business is doing really well. Like, focus on that. And so I think that's funny. So one of the things that the coach said to me was, never bring up the past. It's now and the future, and learn from it, but never bring it up or point fingers, because, the fact of the matter is we put our focus where we did and it's turned out great. Right. So
yeah.
So funny. So I'm reading this book called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. And I usually, sometimes when I go somewhere, I'm always with my headsets, and I was in the grocery store picking up a couple of things, and I was listening it, and I started laughing hard, because letting go, there's a part of it that tells what people do in order to improve themselves. You go to a retreat, you get acupuncture, you do healing, you read a book, you read 2 books, 3 books, you get a blessing. And the guy was like listing everything that he possibly could. And I was like, yep, did that. Yes, I did that. Yeah, I went in the middle of the woods. Yes, I walked on fire. Yeah. And then at the end, he's like, but majority don't surrender and really trust and have faith and let go of the past and surrender. So that's the power of surrender that I'm learning more now, that I don't need to be in control, that my future might have a different path. As Anna said, like, oh, I thought, I was like, I planned, oh, what's happening? Totally different. So it's really powerful to me to hear that there is a tool that is actually inside me not outside, that is in my control to really surrender. And it does not need to be like a big thing. It can be like a small thing that I don't need to carry that in my day. It's just I highly recommend you guys that are listening to take listening. And it kind of ties to what Kathy and Anna are saying, to really like, okay, I just need to trust that my path might not be what I have in my mind, and the past is the past. And I just need to get moving.
I think it's so important because, you can spend so much time talking about like real estate strategy, right? Real estate investing strategy, which is really important. And we got to get you both on just to talk about like real estate and, markets and analysis. Like both of these ladies are amazing at that. So much of real estate investing, but I love what you both have to say when it comes to market analysis and strategies and like really strategic thinking when it comes to this business. But having said that, your mindset and like having 100% belief that you can really like, make something happen and then have that faith. I mean, you can learn all the strategies you want, right? I mean, they're out there, right? I mean, we love teaching them, and I love teaching different things too, but it's if you don't have that, it doesn't matter how much you learn. I don't care what course you take. I don't care what coach you have, real estate investing coach, or what mastermind you're a part of. If you literally don't believe that you actually can be where you want to be, it doesn't matter what course you take or what information you learn. So I want women to hear that, because we all can, speak personally again, I can fall off of that as well, right? Where I'm like doing a comparison evening. I'm like, this is crazy. What's working for us? What's going well? What can we celebrate? Right. And that gets me out of my crazy little head here. So yeah, just getting into that space is important.
I would love to share a tool that did help me shift, because until your subconscious can see a different you, or the you that you want to be, you'll never make it. You have to be aligned. And so one of the things that we did early on was this future self exercise that Rich takes us through. And if you go to his site, I think his personal site is richfettke.com, and you can download it for free. I think it's just called Future Self. And he would kind of take us through a very deep meditation, and then we listen to the recording. And I think that one's in my voice, actually. And you go into a very deep meditative state, and then imagine yourself 20 years in the future, to where you can see it and touch it and like literally see what's on the wall and walk the life of that future self. And sometimes when people first do that, it's a very negative future self. We've had friends, we've taken them down this journey, and they're like, ooh, I didn't like that guy. And we're like, well, then you're on a path to be that guy. So what do you need to shift? And it was like, oh, I need to shift, what I'm eating, and I'm drinking too much, and I'm smoking too much, and I'm not having deep relationships with people. And so then when we did the future self again with him, when he made those not subtle, but major shifts, he liked his future self. He was becoming the person he wanted to be through his daily actions. So until we can really have our subconscious see, a lot of us have energy, like negative thoughts about wealth. I did. I had judgments about wealthy people. I didn't know anyone wealthy. So that's how half the world is, or 80% of the world just sees the wealthy as bad people. So if you see that as wealthy people are selfish, and, all the stuff you see on that's out there right now, well, you'll never want to be one of them. So until you can shift it and see, wow, that was a shift for me on the Real Well show. I started interviewing wealthy people and thinking, these people are pretty nice, and they're sharing information, and they're giving tons of money away to charity. And they're not the selfish, horrible people I've heard about that are wealthy. So again, like really being able to get your subconscious there. You can do it through journaling your, like what your funeral would be like, what people say about you. It's picturing yourself again, that like a deep meditative place. Rich will do it every day. He goes and visits his future self every day to get guidance and make sure he's on the right path to being the person he wants to be. It's pretty cool.
I love this. I want to share something. So I did that in 2011. And I thought when I did it, I was like, oh, I got it wrong. I don't know what it is. And then they were like, okay, share what you got. I was like, listen, I am on stage talking to people like me on stage. I I am not from here. English is not my first language. I'm not going on stage. I'm going to get so nervous and I'm going to start messing up everything. I got it wrong. No, I did not get it wrong. I did not. So the reason why I'm saying this to you guys is that your subconscious and the energy, if you let go of the possibility of, okay, I'm not in charge, and let it come to me, you will come to you like a breeze. And it truly is really, really like awakening when I start connecting the dots. I think it was Steve Jobs that said once, you cannot connect the dots that are in front of you after all the hurdles, the obstacles. Then when you look back, and then you can, really connect the dots and move forward. So
something similar to Kathy that I think ties in exactly what you're saying, that helps me, 2 exercises that I go through continually. When you talk about the self-conscious, we think and we become what we let come into our minds and what we focus on. And if we're focusing on negativity and negative things in the future and failures that we've had personally, instead of giving ourselves the grace that regardless of what we failed on in the past and regardless of what we see, who are we, and do we believe that we can become the people we want to become? And so one of the things that I did, and I still do in challenges, is I make a list of the great things I've accomplished, that I surprised myself that I've accomplished, and the skills that I have as a person that make me strong and that make me good at what I think about. Because when we're in the funk, we don't think about the good about us and the things we've done. We just think, I don't have within me what I need to overcome this. And so I feed my mind with reminders of, the things that I've accomplished that I didn't think I was capable of doing, and of the skill sets that I do have. And the things about myself that I can control that I'm proud of, my integrity, my work ethic, my creativity, whatever it is. And then I create a statement of the future of who do I want to become? I have a personal growth statement that says, in the next 5 years, this is who I want to become. Kind of like Liz, you said, write your obituary. It's like, what do I want to be known for? And what is my ideal vision of life of who I am? Not necessarily how many units I own or whether it's multifamily or self-storage, but who do I want to become? What does that look like? And then how can I apply what I know about myself that I can commend myself about instead of getting down on myself to becoming that person with whatever opportunities come my way? I may have to pivot 1,000,000 times, but this is what I want. This is who I want to become. I look at that all the time, at least once a week, and look at who I have been and what skills I have to become that. And then I set all of my personal and business goals based on who I want to become. And then I back into the activities that I do every day, the kind of deals that I do. I'll only do them if they serve who I want to become, and if I think I have the skills to do them. And if they don't, I don't care how much I like a partner. I don't care how much money it might make me. It's gonna derail me. So if we feed our minds with who we are, the positive affirmations of who we are, who we want to become, makes it so much easier to believe in ourselves and believe in our ability to jump over every hurdle, create the life that we want, and to keep going, because it's what we're feeding our minds every day.
Absolutely. I absolutely love what you both are saying. And I'm biased, of course, because of just knowing the two of you and biased that I know you both, your track record and just how amazing you both are. But you got to get this, ladies. These two women have created such amazing things for their lives. If you get nothing out of today's episode, you got to obviously read their stories in this amazing book that is coming out. But more importantly, talk about your future self. Talk about it, visualize it, write it down. You got some amazing takeaways here, which I just absolutely love, because I think that's what this is all about, right? Is really giving our audience, giving the women listening tangible takeaways here, not just inspiration, but tangible takeaways. And both of you have given those things in such a wonderful way. So thank you both. Love what you both are saying. I got some great takeaways myself, to be honest. So before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from both of you. Where can the ladies listening learn more about both of you? And, where can they connect with one another? So Anna, why don't you start?
Sure. So my website is reimom.com, where, you can get links to all of my other activities. And I'm actually launching a new brand called Greater Purpose Capital. So greaterpurposecapital.com. My website will be up in about a month. But really, one of the things when we talk about our future self and what we want, I'm really taking a lot of my investing and starting to really commit to only doing deals that have a meaningful impact on others, on the lives of my investors, on the lives of the residents, and the types of projects we buy. So it's really important to me at this phase in life to do projects that really make an impact on our world and make a difference. And so if you're interested in investing in those types of opportunities, greaterpurposecapital.com is where you can find me in the next few weeks.
Awesome. How about you, Kathy?
Realwealth.com is where you can find us, and it's free to join. There's lots of webinars, tons of webinars and market data, places to invest in, teams that we've worked with, property managers and contractors, all can be found there. And then my book, Retire Rich with Rentals, is on Amazon. And then, of course, the Real Wealth Show podcast.
Awesome. And all this information you guys can find on our show notes, where you can also find the link for the book, The Only Woman in the Room, which we're super proud to be publishing. So thank you both for being here with us. We know how chaotic the schedule can be, and we are so appreciative to, both of you. We know you guys personally and have building a relationship, and having you in the book with us. We just can't wait to, I envision the future of like a retreat with all of us in a warm place. We're really like sharing, right? A good thing with each other. So thank you so much.
I have a nice new beach house, Andressa.
Yeah,
come visit me on the other side too.
Let's plan it.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to receive updates on our next interviews, go to our website, therealestateinvestor.com. There, you can subscribe to our show, become part of our investor community, and get updates on upcoming episodes.
If you like our show, please share with other women who would benefit. And don't forget to leave us a rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, we encourage you to take one action as a result of today's show and put it into motion so you can live both a financially free and balanced life. Thanks for spending time with us.
Ciao.